Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cult Bar Volume 32. We're going to talk about Shiny Happy People, Teenage Holy War. Renee, how are you?
Good. Forgot to stream this to my Facebook. Doing it right now.
Okay. So we're on top of everything as usual, folks. High quality production on our side as usual. So while you're doing that, Renee, I'm going to talk a bit about what I'm drinking tonight. I picked this largely because of the name. It is called Missionary's Downfall, which is a great name for a cocktail, considering I talked a lot about missionaries in this second season of this show. This calls for mint leaves, light gold rum, which I just used Bacardi Gold, peach schnapps liqueur, honey syrup. I just used honey because I didn't have honey syrup, pineapple juice, and lime juice. So it has a lot of chunks in it because you muddle the lime, the mint leaves in it. So we're going to see how this drinks. Smells extraordinarily tropical.
I love hearing it's got a lot of chunks in it. That's exciting.
That is sweet. Ooh. That's very sweet. Interestingly, can't really taste much of the rum. The peach schnapps just overwhelms it. So yeah. If I was on a beach, I might enjoy that. Where I'm in upstate New York, and it's been getting into the 40s at night. Probably not the kind of drink you normally have.
Did you brag about it?
I am.
Where it's already fall.
Hey, we had 90-degree, 95% humidity for 2 solid months. I will take this early fall and run with it happily.
I woke up and I was doing my stuff, and I looked at the clock. It was like 10:42. And it was still in the 70s outside. And that's how I knew that fall would really come to the desert.
Such polar opposites of, climate for both of us there. So
anyway. I have a peachy thing too. I was going to do like something with Fireball.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have Fireball in the house because I'm an adult. I'm not in a frat. Anyway. But as you might be able to tell from my voice and the redness of my nose, my allergies have been insane today. So no alcohol for me. This is like, I'm high on all the antihistamines. I'm doing a ultra peachy keen Monster energy drink to get through the show. Woo!
Oh.
And then if it gets too much, I do still have this. I have this on my desk, I think from the last time I guest hosted Brothers and Booze.
Probably.
Because I haven't drank it since.
Oh, whiskey is supposed to be good for colds.
Yeah, so maybe I'll.
Maybe you'll imbibe later.
Yeah,
we shall see. So, excuse me, I was going to burp there, but it went away. So usually we do a little thing here about news. So we'll give us the ye old transition. Okay, Renee, not the typical news story, but let's go.
Story. If you've managed to make it to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time without hearing this news, I don't even know how you're hearing it now. Charlie Kirk has been shot. Literally while in the middle of talking about about mass shootings, which is wild. The reason why we're choosing to cover this is cult news. Because, normally, like, we're not just going to cover, like, a politician doing something, is because Charlie Kirk makes a couple appearances in this documentary. He is directly involved in the themes that we're going to be talking about today. He's directly involved in the groups that are related to Acquire the Fire, Teen Mania. I forgot the name of the... Honor Academy.
Honor Academy, yeah.
That's all the pills. Anyway, whatever. Allergy pills, not like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. Look, people, how they feel about these things. And I'm not here to tell you how to feel about this particular thing. But if you have been following the Cult Bar for any amount of time and you're not aware that we're pretty left, here's your news flash. uh, we're not in a state of mourning here. And I think like the very little bit that we're going to be talking about Charlie Kirk today will show why. And the fact that, just as a blanket statement, he's pretty much in support of every single thing we're going to talk about today. All the bad things that we're going to talk about today, he was an ardent supporter of. He loved all of these ideas, and we think they're bad.
Yeah, it's a good summation.
There you go.
Yeah. Not a good human. So, it is something I had a little discussion with my wife earlier about the idea of like, I feel a smidge torn on it just from the perspective of like apparently his kid was there. And that sucks that your kid, that sucks.
I can feel sorry for his kid.
Yep. Yeah, that's ultimately where I landed is basically I will feel sorry for his kid that kid is not going to grow up with their dad. But also that dad was a hateful piece of shit and would probably have instilled that in his kid. So I'm not saying it's better to grow up with a parent. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm just saying like that guy was a white nationalist and a fascist and liked all of those ideas and promoted them and was trying, much like the people we're going to talk about today, to push that upon the youth to make sure that they go in that vein too, to make sure that
on the country as a whole.
Yes, as a whole, but definitely he focused on high school and college kids. That was his bread and butter. So so him not being able to spew more of that from a cultural perspective, that's a win. I actually saw the video itself. It was pretty gruesome. I would suggest watching it if you don't have to. So, but again, it's one of those things where I look at it like the world will be better off without him in it. And that sounds super harsh, but his ideas and his ideals were not good for humans. So that's where I'm going to land on that.
I'll just say this. I am not somebody who gets too worried about like when people are like, oh, you can't be like, you have to be careful about your empathy. Like there's scales of harm. And not that empathy is a limited resource, but I have a lot more empathy for the people that he already harmed. I have a lot more empathy for the people that he would have harmed, that people that he has empowered, have harmed, will harm, etc. And so it's just really hard to muster up a whole lot of empathy for him specifically. I do feel empathy for the people who cared about him on more levels than one.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like I said, it's can be a morally gray thing depending on how you fall. But he just was not a good person. So anyway, that was our news. And like I said, as Renee said, he is in this documentary a few times. So that's kind of, he ties in, and the timing of this was like, oh boy, like he was not even on our radar to talk about until today. So
yeah, I mean, I was going to mention it because it's like this thing is also kind of a creepy who's who of right wingers.
Mm-hmm.
But it was super weird that we pushed this episode back a week, and then this happens on the day we're going live. It was kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Weird, but
weird. Yeah. So anyway, that was the news. Let's get into Shiny Happy People, which is the second season of this show called Teenage Holy War. So basically, the synopsis of this, if you do a quick overview, is that they're going to talk in this season about Ray Luce. I don't know how to pronounce L-U-C-E.
I've heard like both. Yeah.
People pronounce it different in the documentary, so I wasn't really sure. He basically was like this WWE character who had like a real hard-on to get, maybe literally hard-on for get kids involved with the Lord, and like just was like super pumped, like, and just would do all these really, videos to try to get kids engaged and get excited and be part of the war for God. Be on fire for the Lord, which okay, whatever. That sounds really goofy to me.
But the war thing and the war imagery, it became very literal. And I think that's something that we need to keep in mind as we go through this, because I think that's where a lot of the harm came from, and we'll get there. But this is not like I'm a warrior for Christ, like you might hear at any given youth group, like non-denominational Christian youth group. It's like, I'm a warrior for Christ, and I am being trained in a boot camp-like environment for literal war.
Yep. Yeah, there's a bunch of, as they go along and they get more intense, especially as they're starting to lose people, they get more intense and more entrenched into war monikers. And, we'll see that as we go along here. But what I find interesting is, there's a lot of things I find interesting about this, but just how, as with most things, these kids were brought up largely in overwhelmingly evangelical conservative homes. So they thought this was just all normal shit, just normal. Hey, this is for the Lord. I'm doing all this because God, I want to show you how devoted I am to God. And they just kept pushing boundaries, and these kids just kept going. So yeah, it's pretty intense. So we didn't really do any trigger warning. Just figure all of them for this.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna say, like literally all of them, and I that sounds flippant, but it's true. And if you had some evangelical upbringing, youth group shit in your past, if you had militaristic like military school, or like these teen programs, or you had military abuse even, be careful with this documentary, be careful with this episode of Cult Bar. We're going to be talking about school shootings. We're going to be talking about, obviously, spiritual abuse. We are going to be talking a lot about fascism. We are going to be talking just like a lot about violence. And it's weird because it's not as intense as some of our episodes, but it does kind of run the gamut of really bad things. There's a lot of bad things.
Yeah. And to be clear, this was a 3-episode season, so it wasn't super long. So I feel almost like in some instances, we kind of just scratched the surface on a lot of this stuff because they did it only in 3 episodes, but that's probably all they had budgeted for, unfortunately, because this was on Prime. I managed to get it on Plex. So yeah, Plex is not a paid subscription service. Let's just leave it at that. If you liked LimeWire back in the day, you probably would like Plex. So anyway, so let's start. They open up basically talking to a bunch of the people who were in it when they were younger. We're talking teens, maybe as early as late middle school, these kind of kids. And their parents were very much cool with them being in these climbs because it was supposedly very Christian focused, of course. And these parents just thought, oh, well, my kids are going to be more Christ-like, and I'm a Christian and I want that. So they put them in these things. And yeah, it was an issue.
Very predatory in that way. I think that a lot of pretty average, run-of-the-mill working class and middle class parents would just assume that if I'm sending my kid to Christian youth group, they are safe. And what is happening there is fairly wholesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Newsflash for this. Not at all. Not the case.
My kid is not allowed to go to non-denominational Christian youth groups because of shit like this. But yeah.
Also, the idea that I had this discussion with my wife, like she grew up in evangelical Christianity, like steeped in it. So she knew a lot of these characters that were in play, like Ray Boltz. She's like, oh shit, Ray Boltz. And I was like, what? And then she goes, pause. And then she gave me a 10-minute spiel on Ray Boltz. This is like watching documentaries about Christian cultism is really fascinating when she's around because she has a lot of insight because she was in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it is. I asked why they go by the term non-denominational, because non-denominational kind of almost sounds like super neutral, doesn't it? Sounds like,
Oh, it does, but it's so funny to me because that's not what the word denomination means either,
I know,
right?
but like in American parlance, it feels like that means it's just kind of like Unitarian. It feels like, that sort of thing where it's just,
Yeah.
just we're Christian light. And that's the exact opposite of what they are.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to make the point that this non-denominational thing is it's hogwash. It's
It's kind of
PR
the
spin.
opposite of what, like, so what they actually mean, well, okay. So non-denominational would mean that it isn't Christian.
To
Because
me, yeah.
denomination is Christian, Muslim, like that's what a denomination is. What they would mean would be like non-sectarian. So like you're not Catholic or Baptist or whatever.
Yeah.
But what they really mean is we're a very specific Christian sect, which is its own thing and is often really intense and like a lot of born again type stuff in my experience.
Yeah.
And then in this case, really intense.
Yes. And so the intensity for this is it's kind of I'm going to say impressive, and I don't mean that like wow, awesome. It's just like some of the things these kids endured. It's impressive that they got through it.
Yeah.
Like really, like this is shit you would do to like recruits in the military, which you've been part of the military, but it feels like I'm not sure it's even.
There's a lot of shit that went on that I was like, we wouldn't have done that because because when you are in boot camp, you're in combat training, etc. They want you to make it out. They want their investment in you to pay off.
Yeah. Yeah, and as we'll learn, that's not really. They'll make it very clear that that's not really the goal of this whole training. So we'll get into that in a bit. But let's start with some of the main characters here. We got Ray Luce. He's the guy who kind of starts this ball rolling, like with this Acquire the Fire. It starts with Team Mania and then Acquire the Fire, which sounds kind of cool. And then, you have the Honor Academy. I think that came a little later, but.
Right. And Teen Mania is, as they described it, basically Coachella for Christian teenagers.
Yep.
My favorite part of the description was like, you go and you hear these bands that you've never heard before, which is hysterical to me. Like that they're so pumped. I'm going to go hear this band I've never heard of. It's like, okay. Well, I usually get excited about bands I really like, but to each their own.
Well, yeah, there is. That was an interesting. You're right. That's a super interesting descriptor. Now, I will say I have gone to a few concerts of this recently with bands I'm not super familiar with because my wife really likes them and I want to go and experience that with her. Yeah. But I'm not that I've never heard of them. Like I went and saw Ghost live, and Ghost was fantastic live. They were great. I'd heard some of their songs before, but then one we saw was a band called Hylung, which is this like throat singing Icelandic band.
You told me about them. Yeah.
That was one of the coolest freaking, and they call it a ritual, and it really is. Like they start as a ritual, and they're not doing it as a gimmick. It's actually, that's what they believe, and that's what they do. And the whole show was freaking awesome. And I went in knowing nothing.
I'm happy to see a band I've never heard of. Absolutely. Yeah. Like that's the cool, like I always show up for the opener, like the first opener, because that's how you find like cool bands, right? But if you want me to be pumped, like losing my mind, I'm so excited. It's because I'm seeing a band that I like.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. So it is a weird sort of thing, but yeah, the idea that this was, and I think they also styled Team Mania as kind of the Christian equivalent of MTV.
Yeah, they did talk about that. Yeah.
And Ray Luce hated MTV, hated them because it was, secular and super popular. And
it was a culture maker. Yeah. Right. And if you hate the culture, then you want to take down the thing that Right. I get it. My thing too with Teen Mania that was really, I thought was really interesting is it's again, I don't mean this as a compliment. It's genius. Because one of the things that I speaking of my kid not being allowed to go to these non-denominational, like, wannabe mega churches. Where I live, we don't have mega churches because we're
Too small.
But is because I said, you go, right? And you get caught up in the feeling of everything. And you think that you're feeling something there that you can't feel anywhere else. But if you go to a really big concert of a band you really like, and you know the words to the songs, and you're in the big crowd and everybody's singing along to the songs, you will feel the exact same way.
Mm-hmm.
And what Teen Mania is both the things together.
Yeah.
On a massive scale. So it's like hooking like a car battery to the feeling, and just like,
supercharging it. Yeah.
Yeah. And genius, terrifying, but genius.
Well, they play upon the emotional aspect, and they know the psychological aspect of that, and they use that to their advantage. Which is interesting is just the idea that Ray Luce hated MTV, but he was trying to mimic it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you hate it, but you're trying to do the exact same thing.
The other thing too is that one thing we do know about how hormones work is when they're in the air, it affects the emotions of everybody in the room. So pack however many thousand teenagers into a room, have them emoting very wildly, and then those shared emotions, again, like it's genius. It's genius. If you're going to start a cult, do it
started with Coachella or whatever.
Do it in a stadium full of teenagers playing like rock music that has like a spiritual element to it.
Yeah, so they take,
but
yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Legal disclaimer.
Yeah, so they, like I said, they introduced a bunch of people at the beginning. One of them is a lady named April Adjue, who I follow on TikTok, who is she's an evangelical, but still Christian. So she's an interesting character because she's still in the faith, but she is a progressive Christian now. So she's actually following like what Jesus actually said to do, as opposed to doing what. Imagine that. So I knew her from that. But what the two people that were the brother and sister, which were like Liz and Phil Boltz, and I was like, oh, okay. And my wife, when she saw them, goes, I wonder if they're the kids of Ray Boltz. And like a few minutes later, they're like, and my dad is Ray Boltz. And she's like, oh, because Ray Boltz was my wife knew him because he was an extraordinarily popular Christian musician, like made a bunch of songs that were very popular among Christians. Of course, I didn't know that guy from a can of paint.
Yeah.
So I was like, who the fuck is Ray Boltz? I don't know that. Sounds like a bad character in a spy book or something, Ray Boltz. So, but yeah, they have that. The other person I want to talk a bit about real quick was Jeff Charlotte. Not sure I pronounce his last name. He is a guy who wrote a book called The Family, which was basically about how the evangelical church has for decades insinuated itself into politics in the back rooms. And he was part of it because he was an evangelical Christian when he was young, which is why he was also part of this, because he was able to get behind the scenes because he was in it. And he wrote for Rolling Stone while he was kind of examining all this stuff, which is so it was super fascinating to listen to him talk about it, because he was like sort of a mole, So
Yeah.
the guy really knows what he's talking about.
Made out of that book too. That's really cool.
And it's a Netflix, but I think it's like a reenactment of the book, almost, kind of like there's like actors and scenes and stuff like that in it. But that book is superb. He talks. George W. Bush was one of those people that was in the quote unquote family, and they were thrilled when they got him elected. So yeah, all the worst people you could think of trying to influence politics, and they're there. And now they're probably having an ice cream social because of the way things are going. one of the other things is we talked about the idea of Ray Lewis hating MTV, and he did this show called Fire by Night. What a name. Fire by Night. And he, of course, is a co-host, and he has a fucking mullet that is just like, that is the most, it reeked of like, I'm a 30-year-old guy trying to be cool with the teenagers. Like that kind of hair, right? That's the vibe I got from that. I don't know. What do you think?
Which is funny. No, it's funny because like in certain groups of teens and young adults now, mullets are like back. So it's like,
which is dumb.
It's the same haircut. It's the same haircut now as it was then, which is like a guy who's too old for the haircut that he has, but he thinks that it makes him cool.
Yeah.
I'm edgy. I'm cool.
Yeah, check me out. I got a mullet.
You know who else had a mullet? Like
Jesus.
But yeah,
for the record, Jesus, it would have been probably impossible for Jesus to have a mullet considering he was Middle Eastern, but you know, whatever.
Yeah. But I will say this too, is they were talking a little bit about like, oh, the 90s didn't have any Christian culture. And they kind of did cover this, but it was almost like they were taking credit for it. And I don't think that this group specifically did all of this all by themselves, because DC Talk was on the radio. Mm-hmm. Five Iron Frenzy was like huge in the 5 minutes that ska was popular. They were a popular ska band. The Supertones used to be called the OC Supertones, and when they were the OC Supertones, they were a Christian band. There's like tons. Like there are tons. There's so many Christian bands that were just on the radio.
Striper was a Christian band. They were a glam hair rock band in the 80s. They were on the radio all the time in the 80s. So like this predates that.
Like in the 90s specifically, there were like DC Talk was a huge. Their name of their album was Jesus Freak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't have to talk about the lead guy of that now, do we?
No, I don't know anything. I don't want to know.
Oh, you don't. So
MXPX used to be a Christian band. Like I could have just off the top of my head, I'm like, there was tons. And this group in particular may have had those bands play at Teen Mania or whatever, but like they didn't specifically make these bands happen. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like you created the illusion of a problem so that you could solve it.
Boy, that sounds really familiar. I don't know where we've seen that.
Yeah, I never heard of anybody doing that before. But, you know, it's like immediately I was like, that's bullshit. Mm-hmm. Because I was listening to punk and ska music, and I could not get away from Christian fucking music, and I wanted to.
You weren't into that, I guess.
And at the time I was going to church a lot, but it was like, you know, I just want to listen to music. Like I'm good on church. I go there when I need Jesus stuff. I'm all good on church.
I'm all full up. I don't need it.
Yeah.
All right. So another thing here, we talk about Teen Mania when he gears it up. The big part of it is not just the music. They also are really, really, really heavily focused on mission trips.
Oh, well, I wanted to talk about this too, though, the dance ministry.
Oh, yeah. Please go on. And I missed that. I apologize.
So we had, can you help me out with the name? Because I didn't write it down, or if I did, I wrote it down in a weird
Did I write that down? I don't know. I took a lot of notes this time, which I hadn't in the past few to try to. I can't remember that they had a name for it.
My notes on this documentary,
like guy
of an insane person.
Yeah, well, the guy that was like the main dude in it was Corey Wright. He was the one guy who had to do. This poor dude was one of the few black people in the group, and he had to do like dance routines with white people in blackface.
That's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Yeah.
Go ahead.
He was the black guy. And so he had to do all the urban stuff.
The urban.
Yeah. And it's just like, God, come on, man. And I felt so bad for him. But the other thing too is like, where'd it go? Because like this James Luce guy, he thought he was so fucking cool. And they like some of these kids thought he was cool too, but here's the problem is like they're very sheltered kids, right?
Sure.
And so like it's sort of like, you know, when you're in elementary school and like a teacher, like a teacher under the age of 30 is working at the elementary school and you're like, wow, they're so young and cool.
And hip.
Because you don't ever see teachers that don't look like really old to you.
Right.
And I feel like that's where this comes from. But there's a scene like there's a scene where he's like at a like an ice cream shop or something and he's trying to talk to these kids about Jesus.
Yeah, and he shows up on a motorcycle like, hey.
Yeah, it was so painful. But like these kids that he's talking to about Jesus are just kids who are at work. It's like leave them alone. They're making minimum wage. They don't know that they're allowed to tell you to leave. And you know that. That's why you're doing this.
Yep.
You would never do this to an adult because an adult would know that they're allowed to tell you, sir, I'm not going to talk to you about this. And if you kept going, they'd be like, sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. But a teenager is just like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, I already started talking to him. And so now I have to keep talking to him. And then like my boss isn't here and I don't have an adult to ask. And and part of me thinks that that's why guys like this want to fucking focus on teenagers. Because teenagers don't know what to do when an adult comes in and acts like a fucking weirdo.
Well, there's also a lot of talk in this first episode, too, about how as a kid, he had a really shitty childhood and like his father was a real dick and all this stuff and how his dad wasn't around. And like I think he kind of fancied himself to be some sort of father figure to all these kids, except he had no role model to model that after. So like what you just think, well, I'll just be cool and be their friend, which listen, we've all heard the stories of like the stepdad tried to be my friend or the stepmom tried to be my friend. Don't do that. Kids fucking pick up on that shit and fucking toss it out. Unless you are a very sheltered kid that doesn't know any better.
Right. And also, you know, it's never good. It's never good. Like the worst case scenario is that you do end up behaving like a teenager's friend as a parental or authority figure, because that is not where you belong. And you will do things that you shouldn't do in that case.
Yeah.
But I think like part of the reason I wanted to bring that up is because I think you're right. But we hear a lot. We've been doing this show for a long time. And the reason that we do this show is because we were already watching a lot of these documentaries, reading a lot of these books, listening to a lot of podcasts. And so we know the vast majority of these people who look for spiritual power, not talking about spiritual leaders, but people are looking for spiritual power. They have fucked up childhoods.
Almost
so it's
exclusively,
like,
yes.
You don't want to have too much empathy for that because, like, I don't know. I know a lot of people with fucked up childhoods who never, ever ran like a cult that militarized and abused teenagers. Like, never even thought about doing that, you know? So it's like, you know, like it's hard because I don't want to say that I have no empathy for this guy, but I have very little. Yeah, because like, you know, once you're over 25, man, like your decisions are your own.
Yeah. And so I'm with you. I don't really have a lot of empathy for that dude. And we'll later on when we get into like the real nuts and bolts of like Ray Bolt's aside, sorry, of what he delves into and what he makes all these kids do, then yeah. But
so I do want to real quick. You mentioned Jeff Charlotte, and then we have Sarah McCammon from NPR. These are some of the talking heads that are involved. But let's go through some of our stars. We have James Dobson from Focus on the Family.
Not R.I.P. Fuck that guy. But
rest in
hell, because that's if you believe in that, that's where you are. So yes.
Yes. I said my notes read like the notes of a crazy person, and actually, I put James Dobson, focus on the family, TGHD.
Thank
God
God he's dead. Yeah.
he's dead.
I will tell you that when he died, my wife, who was in that evangelical, whose parents were part of that James Dobson shit, was joyful. And maybe that sounds terrible, but she was joyful because that man harmed millions of kids. Millions.
Really?
Not just
Yeah.
that guy can rot. Fuck him.
And in our first episode, call back to our news segment, we meet Charlie Kirk for the first time saying, and this is a direct quote, "Welcome to the end of democracy. We own the country, not them." And I just want to really like head back to the news segment for just a second, because a lot of people are like, oh, Charlie Kirk was just a man with opinions. Charlie Kirk was a political activist and leader who was a major actor in a movement that he admitted was built to end democracy in the United States of America. That is who Charlie Kirk was. He wasn't just a guy with opinions. He wasn't just a talking head on Fox News. Just so we're clear. He said, "Welcome to the end of democracy. We own the country, not them." So that's some of our like nice little soup of right wingers that are involved in this movement that we're going to be discussing, and it'll get deeper as we get deeper, because in the last episode they kind of bring it all together, what all this is about.
Yep.
Because of course it's about more than just fucking with teenagers, because it always is.
Sure. So there's some other players in here. I'm going to name a few of the people that are the people who were in it, which will come up. They will come up as our conversation goes along. Micah Ringo, that person is a badass. So we'll get to them later. We got Corey Wright, who is one of the few black people besides.
I did have Corey down.
And Danny, what was her last name? I had it down somewhere. But she was a black woman. So she was one of the only. Those are the only two black people that we saw in that whole thing. We have Jedediah Jenkins. Jedediah Jenkins is about the most freaking. That almost sounds like a freaking Amish name.
It sounds like what you would name, like what you would name Ned Flanders if you were doing like a ripoff of The Simpsons.
Ned Flanders. Quick googly woogly. We have our guy, Zachariah. I didn't put his last name down. I'm a little sad about that because I really want to talk about him. He, to me, was the most sympathetic character out of all of them.
Agreed. He was great.
And we have Liz and Phil Bolts. Phil Bolts, who's given my gaydar off the charts on that freaking show. So it never explicitly says it, but I could be totally wrong. He could not be, but man, he was just, as a parent of 3 LGBTQ kids, I have a fairly good radar for that stuff. So yeah.
There is this strange thing that happens though with these, I don't know how to say this
politely.
Yeah. So there's this strange phenomenon that comes with a certain type of evangelical man and the culture around it, where like there is a lot of like, is this guy like just super into Jesus, or is he like into all men?
Yeah.
And I've encountered that so many times in my life. And sometimes the answer is just yes.
Both.
So, but
to be fair, Jesus hung out with 12 other men all the time. So
yeah, like,
there might be that.
Yes. Sometimes it's not either or. But yeah, so I don't know. And whatever. But I agree with you is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Yeah. So, like I said, these are all kind of the people that will run in and out of the documentary, talking about a bunch of different things. When we mentioned earlier about mission trips, I'd like to start with Phil, because Phil and his sister were super duper committed. really committed. Like their dad was Ray Boltz. He was like a fucking star in the Christian music community. Phil
But they go to acquire the fire first, right?
Yes.
Because I do want to talk about this thing of getting there. And the first thing they do is have this like weird ritual. They're not going to call it a ritual, but this is what it was, where they destroy all of their secular music and books and like anything that wasn't overtly Christian. And then they get to talk about how their lukewarm friends make them lukewarm Christians. And so like basically immediately, like any ties you have to anybody or anything outside of this organization makes you a bad Christian. And don't you want to be a good Christian?
Classic isolationism, baby.
Because this is like, you know, in something like this, I do want to be careful. Like, we're not saying like every Christian youth group is a cult. We're saying this one is a cult.
For sure.
And this is part of it, right? You come, they take away every connection you have to the outside world and then tell you all of your friends that aren't there are bad Christians, basically, and that they're going to damage you if you maintain friendships with them.
Yep.
And this is a feeder into more and more intense versions of this group, which we'll see. So I just want to point that out. The first thing that happens is isolation and cutting off from all media outside of the belief system.
Yeah, and to that end, like Liz and Phil Boltz petitioned their parents to like get rid of MTV off their cable thing. Like that's how committed they were after this Acquire the Fire thing. And one of the things that Jeff Charlotte said was like the rock and roll concerts, all of these were basically mass rituals. Like they did the thing beforehand, like you said. At the end, they would do an altar call. Like it was a ritual. It was a service.
I've been to a non-denominational Christian church youth group that had like, they didn't have a live rock band. This is so funny. They didn't have a live rock band, so they played like music videos. I guess maybe it doesn't have the same effect, but like kinda. And they do the thing at the end where they want people to come up and be on their knees on the altar, and like people are crying and like asking to be saved, and like it's, in retrospect, super weird and creepy. Some of these people, it was their first time there. And they're all teenagers. Like they're like, maybe they're like, again, their parents trusted that they're going to go and like hang out at a Christian youth group. And it's actually like a full-on church service, which most youth groups aren't. So this is like very kind of common, but on this scale, not at all common. Like this is a massive scale.
Yeah, this is a way bigger undertaking than normal shit you would see for this kind of thing.
And then this is my note too, where it's like Jedediah says something about like, you know, he's comparing it to what happens at a Taylor Swift concert. And that was my note. It's like, it's actually exactly what happens at a Taylor Swift concert, but people leave and they're allowed to go back to their lives.
That's the thing, is like I've seen multiple folks talk about like in different facets, like even on social media, where they say like my awakening was I went to a secular concert and felt the same thing at a concert that I felt at a church. Just went, oh, this wasn't the Holy Spirit moving me. This was, and it just the music moving me. And it's like a realization dawns on them, and that's why they also want to get rid of secular music. They don't want you to listen to any of it because they don't want anything getting in the way of how you feel about God. And they make it very explicit. You should only be focusing on God. You focus on anything else, and you're taking away from God, and that's bad.
I don't care how much you hate romantic comedies. I learned this the hard way doing a podcast about romantic comedies. No matter how much you hate romantic comedies, there's always one scene in just about every romantic comedy that will win you over. And it is the scene where the man and the woman who either hate each other or are forced to be together, whatever the fucking plot is, are in some situation where they are going to sing together or dance together. Because there's going to be music. And it is going to manipulate your emotions, and it's going to make you happy. And because it makes you happy, you now want the characters to be happy together because they're doing the thing to the music. It is the scene in Ferris Bueller when he is on the float and he's singing, and it's like, oh, cool. Like Ferris Bueller's so cool. I'm so happy. It's Ducky in Pretty in Pink doing the Otis Redding song. Now you're like, oh, I'm all in on Ducky. Music is phenomenal. I love music. It is a tool of manipulation. That is what it is for. It is intended to manipulate your emotions. That's why movies have scores, so that your brain knows what it's supposed to be feeling, even if nobody's talking or there's not even a person on the screen, right? Like, I wish that we would be so much more open about this. Is what happens when you have the arts in schools.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Kids don't know. Like, music makes you feel things, and it's that way on purpose. That's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. And I just did a show on Mortal Content where I had my two guests, and I do the best needle drops in movies or TV shows. And the idea of how they use music to manipulate a scene is really impressive. And you know, we had our different things, and you know, my top one was, and you'll probably appreciate this, it was Stuck in the Middle with You by Steelers Wheel. What movie do you associate that? What scene do you associate that with every time you hear that fucking song?
Well, I mean, it's Michael Madsen, obviously.
Singing into an ear that he severed. And like that's a ubiquitous connection. But the thing is, the music made that scene. The music made
that scene. However, Michael Madsen's performance made that song forever be associated with the scene.
For sure.
Because like,
and he ad-libbed the singing into the ear too, which is marvelous.
That is someone who I genuinely hope rests in peace.
Yes, same.
Phenomenal.
But there's some other things like I'm sorry we're going off tangent here, but one of the things that there was an opera song, and I cannot remember the name of it off the top of my head. It was something I had to look up. I don't know if you saw the movie Philadelphia, which was with Denzel Washington was a lawyer. Tom Hanks played a guy with HIV who got fired because he was gay and had HIV, and like and this was in the 90s. Like, this was early in the 90s, and there's a song where there's an aria being sung, and Tom Hanks is just explaining the way this aria works to Denzel Washington, who is playing this character that always says, "Explain it to me like I'm 5 years old," which is where we kind of get that expression from. It's from that movie.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just this excellent use of music, and just it crescendos at this point, and Hanks just is like it looks like he's ingesting the song as he's explaining. Like, there's just a way that the music and the acting works together, and it's no different than if you're on stage. You're performing a song. Your performance helps that song. And you know, DC Talk was great at using the crowd and taking these songs, and it's just like, I'm going to make you all feel this. That's a talent, and they were really good at it. They were really good at it. So sorry for the riff on music.
I think the most important thing I like, and I'll say this because, you know, we do this show because we want to, because you and I have fun doing it. And if we weren't doing it, like broadcasting it or putting it on YouTube, we'd probably just be doing it like texting each other.
We'd be blabbing to each other about it. Yeah.
Right. So that's why we do this. But the big why are things like documentaries about cults and books about cults, podcasts about cults, why are they important? And, you know, you'd be like, well, they're not. You know, people just do it for the same reason they watch true crime. But they are. And the reason why is because we need to understand how these things work. Because a lot of people wake up in the morning and they hear stories like this and they're like, that would never work on me. What if it was the right thing at the right time, though?
Right scenario, right timing, like everybody's susceptible in the right scenario.
Do not fucking like the vast majority of romantic comedies, but God damn it, I did that podcast about romantic comedies, and it was like the third or fourth episode before I was like, oh right, I like every scene where they fucking sing.
But you realize what it was, right?
Right, but it took me that long to be like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, no, you got me there.
Yeah. There was an SNL scene where they made fun of every movie where like all the characters dance like around a table, like like in Practical Magic where they're dancing around a table. Like there's like movies and everybody's like, oh yeah, and it was just super funny because you're talking about how they dance or sing together. in a rom-com. That is the derivative of that in a different way. Is just using the music to basically make the characters kind of come together in a way that they hadn't. So, yeah.
Well, my all-time favorite actual romantic comedy that I love is Mr. Right with Sam Rockwell, who is an extremely talented dancer.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait. He is. And it's going to sound weird. I remember him dancing in Iron Man 2.
Yes.
And he was weirdly good at that. And
because he, like Christopher Walken, tries to get dancing into every movie. So if you watch, he doesn't always, but if you watch, there's a little, anyway. The point of this segue,
this side quest,
his thing is that he's very in tune with rhythm, which is what makes him good at what he does. And so there's a lot of dancing in it. And I'm like, there you go. That's why it's my favorite. No, it's my favorite because it's about a hitman, but the dancing helps.
Yeah. Can't hurt, right? All right. So a little bit back on track here. Let's go into the missionary stuff, if you don't mind, because I have a couple of things here. We're not even through the first episode yet. So,
oh boy,
as per our usual, we kind of pontificate a lot early. So the reason I want to get into the missionaries because I want to talk about Phil Boltz. He decides to go to Bolivia. He decides to go to Bolivia for 2 months as a teenager in high school. That is fucking insane.
First of all, absolutely fucking insane. Second of all, before we get to what happens in Bolivia, I want to talk about what they packed to go to Bolivia because this pissed me off so fucking bad. They're not supposed to take Bibles to Bolivia. So they pack their fucking luggage full of Bibles and cover it up with clothes and smuggle the Bibles in. These are teenagers. These are minors.
Mm-hmm.
These fucking adults who were responsible for their health and well-being. They fail at all of this.
all across the board.
But they put they fucking made those kids commit a fucking crime and put them through customs in a foreign fucking country. What the fuck?
Yeah, that was fucked up.
Like, I don't know what the punishment is if you get caught in fucking Bolivia smuggling in shit you're not supposed to have, but I bet it's not fucking great if you're fucking, you're 16, 17 years old, you have no idea what you're supposed to say, like
you're in a country you don't speak the language of. You don't speak the language there.
What the fuck? I was just sitting there, I missed probably 5 to 10 minutes after that because I was just sitting there like with my fucking steam coming out of my ears. Like that's literally in and of itself a crime. Is asking kids to commit crimes is a crime. In and of itself, it's contributing to the delinquency of a minor. As a matter of fact, I could not believe it. In a foreign country.
Oh, I can believe it.
They're fucking, yeah. No, you're right. I can believe.
Well, considering their very straightforward thought process on like if you die or get imprisoned for Christ, then that is the cost of being a Christian. But yes,
if you die in Bolivia, do you die in real life?
maybe not. We'll never know.
So then these fucking poor kids.
These poor kids, they go to Bolivia. It's a mess.
They believe so firmly in their calling from Christ.
Yeah.
They don't just try to convert these people.
Yeah, I want to just make a point that I made a note with a smuggling of Bibles was Micah was there, and she was a mime for Jesus. And I would like to just say for the record that my wife did that. She was a mime for Jesus in Australia. She went to see Aboriginal people in Australia, mimed for them. That's how fucked up these mission trips are. Like they send these to these people who are indigenous to Australia. Their culture is like thousands and thousands upon thousands of years old, and they think they can go mime and think that that's going to work. I don't know. That was not my wife's fault. That was the adults sending her there.
I do like. I'm wearing very appropriate clothes for a discussion on mimes today.
That you are.
I think the miming for Jesus was one of the things I missed while I was freaking out about the Bible smuggling.
Yeah, there was miming, there was dance, anything you could do, quote unquote, for Jesus, including Phil later on being a telemarketer for Jesus. Like all of it's for Jesus. But with Phil, he was in Bolivia and he basically got appendicitis.
Well, but before we get there, okay, I want to talk about this because this thing is one of those things that you would think would break some shelves. I don't know if this is common parlance in evangelical circles or not, but like in the Mormon church, you're told that if you have doubts, you take them and you put them on the shelf, right? And so when people finally can't take it anymore, it's referred to as breaking the shelf. That's what I just said means. I don't know how this is not a shelf breaking moment. These kids thought that they were not just missionaries, but they were emissaries of Jesus Christ himself. So they went and they put their hands on these people and they gave them blessings, and they fully believed that they were going to cure them of illnesses, that they were going to heal them of very serious medical issues, including amputation. They really, all their fucking hearts believed that they could put their hands on somebody and say a prayer and the fucking leg was going to grow back. This is how deluded they were when they got to Bolivia. That doesn't just fucking happen. The amount of indoctrination and gassing up and bullshit that has to be fed to somebody, especially remember that, like, brain development wise, teenagers at this moment in their life are so afraid of being embarrassed. They are so afraid to do anything. The amount of bullshit that has to be fed for you to walk up confidently and say, like, I'm going to grow this guy's leg back is incomprehensible. And it's wild to me that this was just like a little boop on the story and we did not get deeper on that because, again, what happened that led them to believe that you could cure a sniffle, let alone something as serious as amputation?
All things are possible through Jesus. All things.
But like, you can say it, but to believe you personally can do it, and again, you're fighting against like a brain development that's like,
yeah,
and then it doesn't work, and you're embarrassed, and then yet, you continue, and they're being told to suffer on these missions. They're being told to, quote, die empty every day.
What a lie.
They're working their fucking asses off, and they're teenagers, and none of them thought, like, fuck this. None of them.
Well, the other thing is the whole die empty, but they keep emphasizing the idea of death. The idea of martyrdom is good. Die empty every day. One of the lines Luce sends is, put your old self on the cross so that you can resurrect yourself. Like, so death is a very prominent thing that you're pounding into the skulls of teenagers.
Who's the woman? They asked her, did you think that you were going to die young? Did you think you were going to be a martyr? And she kind of chokes up and she says she didn't believe that there was...
Carrie Psalm.
Yeah, she didn't believe there was any other possible outcome.
She didn't think that. She thought that was her fate/destiny, was to die young.
That's is, again, like,
super fucked up.
So back to Bolts.
Yeah. So Phil is actually, he does the Bolivia thing. He's fine. I was mistaken. He actually went to another mission trip in India.
Oh, that's right.
And he's in rural India, and basically he starts feeling sick, determines he has appendicitis. He has appendicitis removed, but it gets infected because he's in a rural back part of India. Like, I'm sure there's
infected with MRSA.
Yep.
Which is one of the two ways I have almost died.
Yeah, I've only died almost one way, really. You're ahead of me.
Almost dying of MRSA was one of the most miserable experiences of my life. And I was being treated. I was just being treated misdiagnosed. So I was not getting as strong of antibiotics as I needed.
Mm.
And it still nearly fucking killed me. And it wasn't in my organs.
Yeah.
I had for the longest time, I think it's this arm. Yeah, because I can still feel it. So for the longest time, it looked like I had a bullet wound in my arm because it just ate everything in my arm. And I thought I was going to die because I had like a fresh tattoo. And then I got an infection in my arm and it was like, oh, there's a fresh open skin by my heart. And like,
yeah,
it really came down to, had I not gotten the final, like they figured it out and got the final heavy duty dose of antibiotics that were so strong that when I went to walk, I was living on base at the time. When I went to walk back to my room, I was unable to walk. That's how strong the antibiotics were. Like a cab driver I knew just stopped and like gave me a ride and was like, don't worry about paying me. You cannot walk. That's how fucking intense these antibiotics were.
Wow.
I would have died like that day.
Wow.
And this was over the course of a week, maybe week and a half. And the entire time I was being treated. I just wasn't being treated with antibiotics that were strong enough.
Yeah, he ended up spending 4 weeks in the hospital. So had like a giant abscess removed. Like he was really fucking sick. And Luce visits him and writes a Bible verse, but changes it to world changer. He changes a Bible verse, which is not something you do ever.
Yeah. I'll say this too. MRSA also never goes away.
So
it stays dormant in your body forever, which of course means that it could
come back. So that's lovely. All right. So we got all this stuff. Now, Phil, before they get to the second episode, which we're an hour in, we're already only on the second episode, Phil decides he wants to do an internship. So an internship is basically like what we've seen in every fucking cult ever is like, I want to be part of this crew and we're going to bring you in, but you're going to do this job and we're not going to pay you because you're doing it for the Lord or you're doing it for the leader or whatever. In this case, it's the Lord. So everybody gets assigned. They assign the people to whatever they deem fit for them or whatever they want to do. And Phil said the only thing he didn't want to do is telemarketing. And of course, they make him a telemarketer. Oh, geez. Yeah. So Micah gets to be one of the people working in like the Honor Academy, I think is what it is. Like where she's working close with this loose nutbag and
sorry.
Yeah.
Just loose nutbag.
He's a nutbag. So anyway, we started the two. They're talking about the Honor Academy and the people that graduate, and we'll get to later on. They'll start talking about the horrors that you go through to get to Honor Academy, but they're showing that they get rings for this, and they take a pledge at the end. You know,
the pledge is nuts.
Yeah, I wanted to get your ideas on the pledge. The pledge was like, oh.
I will never portray or allow teen mania to be portrayed in a negative light in the past, present, or future.
Are they time travelers?
The past? You will not allow it to happen in the what? And obviously it's not happening in the present because we're standing here.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, so you obviously got stuck on the same thing I did, which was the past.
I was
right?
You're just like okay.
Yeah, I was fucking yeah.
they're like quantum leaping to protect the Honor Academy. But also, I'd like to point out that the Honor Academy logo is Ha. H-A, Ha, Honor Academy. I was like, that's pretty appropriate because that's a laughable thing.
I do love that the guard shack is run by teenagers, by the way. It's like,
Oh,
that doesn't seem like a good idea if
even
anything would actually happen.
even the concerts, like the pyrotechnics, are run by 18-year-olds who have no idea how it's going to work.
I mean, look, like if you
how did nobody catch on fire? Like, I'm really amazed that didn't really actually happen. Holy shit.
I didn't think about the pyrotechnics, but I was thinking about, like, lighting and tech stuff is done by kids in high school drama. But you're right
Yeah,
about
but this was pyrotechnics. That's a whole different class of shit. And they did a lot of fire and pyrotechnics. So,
well, if you die while doing pyrotechnics for Jesus,
how'd you die? Well, I was setting up a flamethrower.
I was like, again, though, but then you get past the guard shack that's run by literal children, which is fine because you're also a child and you think you're grown up at this point, right? And all of the halls are named after martyrs. So again, we're back to this die thing.
And all martyrs that were missionaries, by the way. Let's make that clear. It's all missionaries who are quote unquote martyrs. So
right. I didn't write down who said it, but somebody said we were believers, but we knew something was weird. And I think that's really telling that right there. It's like on the first day, you're like, something's weird, but you stay. And that speaks to like how much shit had to happen before they got there to make it seem like
that's
turning around and walking out is too big a risk to take.
Yeah. I would like to make a point of something my wife said while we were watching this about the martyrs part. And I'm going to read it. I actually wrote it down because it was a quote, because she was loosely part of this world, not this particular thing, but was in the evangelical stuff. She said, you have to understand that this is the undercurrent that they rarely say out loud. Missionaries who are killed are viewed as martyrs, which set these kids up to know that they will need to be willing to accept their own deaths as part of the cause of advancing Christianity, and that it's an honor to die for it.
Yes.
That was her words. And I was like, fucking duck. Like, Jesus Christ.
And I think, so this is where I will say, because we're going to get into this pretty in depth, but I don't want to forget to say this. They go hardcore on military style training in a way that is very disturbing to me on a lot of levels. One is the way in which it differs from the military, because like they don't care if these kids get hurt. They don't care if these kids are healthy, like whatever. But in the military, you don't train to die.
You train to survive.
Right.
Yeah,
and I know a lot of people are sitting at home and you're thinking, well, I don't know if that's true. It's true. We don't train to die. Infantrymen, all they do is carry a rifle. They don't train to die. That's not part of it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't train to die.
Yeah. If you look at it from a purely perspective of, like you said, that when you enlist in an armed forces in the United States, they're investing in you to make sure that you can do the job that they need you to do. If you die, it costs a lot of money, and they don't want to lose out on that investment. You are an investment if you are in the armed forces. So they don't want to lose that. So they're going to train you to try to be ready to handle any situation possible to the best of their ability. They can't train you for every fucking thing. That's impossible. But
it costs a lot of money, and when a lot of people die, morale gets really low. And when morale gets really low, wars get lost. And that's actually, you can look at one of the reasons Ukraine has been like holding on with a chance is because morale in the Russian army is so low. And part of that is because Russia is willing to just throw their infantrymen through the wood chipper. They don't care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so a lot of the Russian military just are like, I don't want to do that. I would maybe rather not die. I would maybe rather not be mown down by bullets for no reason. Yeah. And so, like, there's a lot of reasons why it's a bad idea to train people just to die. And one of them is because it's fucked up. It's
Yeah.
having no value, like having no value for your own life is fucked up. And actually we see that in a lot of countries where things have been really, really bad for a really long time. Part of the reason that you see so much shit going on is because there are large portions of the population that no longer care if they live or die. Because it's been the joy of life, for the value of life for them has been beaten out of them.
Yeah.
And it sucks. And I'm like, but seeing this happen on purpose, like, this is what I'm trying to get to. It is a tragedy when that happens to even one person. It is an unimaginable tragedy when it happens to a large group of people, when it happens to a population. These fucking adults who are entrusted with these children's lives did this to them on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They trained them to die. They trained them to believe that they were not as worth as much alive as they would be if they died.
And they were expendable.
That is something we work every fucking day to teach teenagers is not the truth, that you are worth more alive than you could ever be gone, that we value you more alive than we would ever value you gone, that we appreciate you now. You don't have to go for us to appreciate you. This is something we have been working for decades to figure out how to get teenagers to understand. And they're like, no, it would be better if you died.
Mm-hmm.
It is unconscionable.
Yeah, and the guy who, Ron Luce was the runner, but the guy who actually ran all this shit was a guy named Dave Haas, H-A-S-Z. And ironically, I had a boss whose name was Dave Haas, Haas, and he was a giant fucking asshole of epic proportions. So when I saw this name, I was like, fuck, this guy's going to be a shithead. And he was. So in keeping with the somewhat same moniker, this guy basically ran all the things, like the boot camp stuff, the honor academy. He ran it like basically they called it harder than SEAL training. Like, they did a lot of really weird shit. Phil Bolts called him, said Dave Haas had big Jordan Peterson vibes, which was a great comment.
I mean, it's super fucking weird. I mean, it was like some weird things. Like, we were the Marines of this movement. It was harder than SEAL training. And it's like, yeah, but not in the ways that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you weren't trained better. You were trained harder. And there's a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, just making them run everywhere for the sake of running everywhere.
Yeah. There also, I want to ask you, they made a comment that like this Dave Haas loved the movie Braveheart. Why do all these fucks love Braveheart so much? Besides it being a white savior dying for his cause, that's the only thing I can come up with.
Yeah, I know.
They all fucking love Braveheart. All of them.
They all think, but this, because I'm going to tell, well, my theory, they all think that they are oppressed. They all have like internalized this idea that the fact that the world does not cater to them is persecution. There is so much of this in evangelical circles, in the far religious right, that the fact that that if I went out in public with these earrings on and I was near one of these people, that these earrings are oppressing them. Or that my little Buddha ring is oppressing them. And it's like, no, I'm just fucking standing here, bro. That shit is like, they're like, I'm not free because there's people who don't believe the same thing that I do. So in their mind, when they fight against that, they are fighting freedom.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, no, you dipshit. Like, you are oppressing people.
Yeah.
If I asked you to take your cross off, you were going to melt the fuck down.
Yeah, I have a shirt that says, I don't care what the Bible says, because I don't. But like, I wore that one time and I went into a Little Caesars to pick up a pizza and I came out and I heard this guy, that's really messed up. He shouldn't be allowed to wear that. And I'm like, my shirt says, I don't care. You can care all you want. I'm not telling you can't do shit. You can do whatever the fuck you want. All my shirt says is I don't care. I forget what the term, what the phrase is, but it's something like acquiescence non-acquiescence looks like oppression to the, but I can't remember the exact phrase, but basically they see anything that isn't, hey, we're touting you and putting you up high, that means that you're oppressing us. And that's a load of shit.
Right.
It's a load of shit. So
and I'm by no means saying that every Christian thinks this way. These guys do, though. Like,
yeah. All right. Sorry, we're going off the beaten path a bit, but but
I think it's like, it's hard because, like you say, like so much shit is tied into this, and it is these people literally want to take the country over. That's really what they're training these kids for, and they start being more and more explicit about it. They're not training these kids to defend their fucking stupid honor academy. They are literally training these kids to take over the country. We get into the third episode, and one of the guys says, I got it written down, welcome to the end of democracy, because apparently that's a fucking catchphrase. We didn't get all the way there on January 6th. And then the rest is a paraphrase, but he's like, but we're getting most of the way there. We're getting close.
Yeah, there was a comment from Lou says, what if we want our voices to be heard, but not your voice to be heard? And that's a very, like, your voice doesn't matter as much as ours. Ours is the right voice.
People, this is what is crazy to me. They say exactly what they mean. They are blatant about it. And people will still be like,
yeah,
no. It's like, they do not want democracy. They do not want women to vote. They do not want people who are not Christian to speak.
Yep.
They're saying it out loud. They're saying they want to take over the country out loud. Like, what do you need to hear?
Yeah, and if you tell them they're like Christian nationalists or white nationalists, they get all that's not true. Yes, it is. So don't. If you are what you are, just own it.
Oh yeah, I got like the weirdest comment from somebody today for saying that Charlie Kirk was a Christo-fascist. I'm not repeating it because most of it is words that I wouldn't use.
Yeah.
What was said to me, but
yeah,
whatever.
Can we backtrack just a smidge?
Yeah.
And the reason I want to talk about a practice that these Dave Haas used on the people that were in Honor Academy called crosswalk, which sounds kind of innocuous. Like, oh, well, you're going through a crosswalk. No, basically they would take these groups of kids and kidnap them and drop them in some place. They had no phones. They had no maps. I can't remember. Maybe they gave them a compass. Whatever. They just had to. And then they gave them a 6-foot cross and said they had to carry that shit back to the campus. Their campus was in the middle of fucking nowhere in Texas.
Yeah.
And they had to carry this thing. And the reason I wanted to bring it back to this is because Zachariah comes in and drops the best line of the entire documentary. So basically him and his friends, the group he was dropped off with, they're carrying this cross and they're dragging it up, and they can't figure out why nobody is picking them up now.
Because also they're not allowed to ask for anything.
No.
They're not allowed to ask for help. They're not, like, if somebody offers to help and they say, what do you need? Oh, too fucking bad. You're not allowed to tell them what you need. You're not allowed to ask.
Yeah, you can't ask for food. You can't ask for money. You can't ask for a ride. Nothing. You just have to do this. And so Zachariah made this point, and he said, we wonder why no one was stopping to talk to us. Well, we're a bunch of white kids in Texas carrying a cross up a road. We probably look like we were going to the sheep store, which
yeah.
That is a fucking mic drop comment. And he probably didn't even realize just how fucking great that comment was in the moment. Because that guy was going through it so hard, and I felt so bad for him. But yeah.
And the thing is too, is like, then there's the story, like a cop pulled over and asked him what they were doing. And he's like, well, I'll give you a ride, but you got to leave the cross there. And then the girl was like having a fucking breakdown. And the cop was just like,
put it on the top.
I guess put it on. Yeah. Like he didn't know what to do. And that is fucking, again, that's insane. Like putting kids through this shit is insane. It's just so like, they're fucking kids. They're waking up at 4 a.m., by the way.
Yeah.
They're sleep deprived. Again, you know what? That doesn't happen in boot camp. That doesn't happen in boot camp. You don't get up at 4 a.m. in boot camp. I mean, you might occasionally get up at 4 a.m. in boot camp, but again, they want you to get a good night's sleep. You also don't work out until you puke in boot camp because that's bad for your body.
Yeah.
Occasionally, again, maybe it happens because you overexert yourself or you drink too much water or whatever, but that's not the goal. They are not bringing you out purposefully making you work out until you puke, because that's overtraining and it will injure you eventually.
Mm-hmm. It'll cause problems in your body. So yeah. There's also this one video, and I didn't mark what it was, but it was a video about this part of the propaganda of persecution with them. Is like there's this video where this guy is explaining in a prison cell to his kid about why he's in prison, and then they take the dad away, and I was like, what the fuck was that video? Like, what are you?
None of the fucking videos made any sense.
Like, why are you trying to scar these kids? Like, I know why you're trying, because you're trying to make it so that they're hardened and all that shit. But like, I just remember being like, what the actual fuck was that? That was, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Just don't do that. Just don't.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Yeah. Well, okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about too is the appearance of evil, because that got under my skin, because that was a big thing in growing up more in the Mormon church. You avoid the appearance of evil. So like maybe you think that it's okay to go to Starbucks because you could get like the vanilla frappuccino that doesn't have coffee in it, but you're in a Starbucks and you're holding a Starbucks cup. And so people maybe think that you're drinking coffee and they know that you're Mormon. So like, should you really be doing that? It like turns into weird shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you're hearing this like environment they're in. There's no way that it's not that crazy. Avoiding the appearance of evil is not that crazy. And they talk about a situation of like, the only two Black people there, the guy wanted braids. So they're like in a public area and she's braiding his hair and they're like, no, can't do that.
Yeah. They also said if any of the Black people hung out during lunch, that was segregationist.
Yeah. The other thing was that one of the girls apparently sang too well. And that was like sinful, like for some reason. Like she's showing off, or she was like being a distraction from God by singing too well.
She was also a black woman, so there was that.
Yeah, but it's just like, what? Like, how does purity culture get to a point that like I'm singing for God, but now I'm doing it too well? Like, it's just like these things. And again, we know, because we've been doing the cult thing for so long, that the reality is you have to keep taking people down a peg. Nobody's allowed to feel good about themselves. Because if they feel good about themselves, then you have less control over them. That's why you can't sing too well. But like in this context, this girl is like, wait, what?
Yeah, I equate that a bit to the concept of pride and how that's a sin. And like, there's somebody that I know that I'm not going to go too deep in, but they have talked multiple times how pride is a sin, but they are quietly prideful.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just like prideful of what they have, but they downplay it, but you can tell they're very proud of what they accomplish. Now listen, you accomplish something, whatever that may be, you should be proud of it. That should not be a sin to be able to be proud of something you worked your ass off for and you got. So be proud about it. But like that person is just like, I can't be proud, but they're proud. You can tell.
I live a life free from sin. It's super easy. Okay. This is how I do
I
it.
want to hear it. Give me it.
How I live a life free from sin. I fucking don't believe in sin. Super easy.
Hey, high five from upstate New York.
but to your point, this is like this, okay? Because like as you know, I'm an editor, and when I'm editing someone else's work, I catch nothing so quickly as the things that I struggle with in my own work.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing will I zero in on as quickly as something that occurs over and over again in my work.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you could say that about anybody who, oh, aren't you so proud? It's like, well, you know what? I bet you are too, or you wouldn't be calling that out.
Yeah.
And that's true also of people who are not religious. You know, a lot of us like to project, and I'm sure nobody is fully innocent of that. But yeah.
That's a natural human motion, by the way, to have pride in certain things.
Yes, and it's okay.
You can be overly prideful, but that's arrogance. That's a different realm.
Yeah,
But
I mean, there's everything is on a spectrum.
everything.
And having too little of something can be just as bad as having too much.
Too much, for sure.
Yeah. So,
all right, go ahead. Let's go. We got more to get to.
So the tribal dancers.
Poor Corey. Now listen, I'm going to say this is my kids have been out of high school for a while, but my couple of my kids were in chorus and band, and they were in a school that was like 98% white, and without fail, 2 songs in their chorus or their thing would be some African song.
Oh boy.
And I'd be like, every time I would be like, why are you doing this? There's no black people in your chorus, no black people playing instruments. Why are you doing this? It felt very appropriating to me. Now they were just like, well, we're trying to show that there's more music in areas that these folks might not have heard of. Now, granted, they were going to a school that was rural New York. So maybe these people weren't getting the experience of hearing any music that was from Africa or anything like that. Did they do a bad job of it? No, they did a fine job of it. It just felt weird to be like, hey, this is a West African song. And I'd be like, well, why are you doing it? Don't do that.
Music, but you can do music appreciation.
That's fair. But this, I don't know why it felt super weird.
Class, you know, music appreciation is where you listen to music and you learn about it. And then,
yeah, but that's not this. This is, you are doing it for the public.
Then you have a performance thing, which is different. And then you don't have to sing it to appreciate it.
Yeah. And it just felt weird seeing young teen white kids sing West African music or play music to it. Like, again, that was just my experience with it. So I'm just
I'm agreeing with
and that was when this whole when the dance thing was going on, I was like, this feels so much like that.
Well, it gets worse, doesn't it? Because in third world countries, this is a quote, by the way, I'm not saying, it's not my opinion. In third world countries, they are seeking us out to eliminate us being white missionaries, and I guess the 2 black kids.
Maybe they just accept the 2 black kids. Hey, man.
Yeah, maybe. They're like, listen, you agree that this is crazy, right? So what do they do to learn how to deal with people in third world countries? They have a little exercise called the Unreachable Peoples Group, whatever, where some of us dress up and pretend to be indigenous tribes of third world countries. And some of us pretend to be missionaries. And we LARP that in a way that I'm sure was super sensitive, of course. Right?
Yeah. Oh, one other note that, and I'm just going to piggyback on your comment from a while back about them smuggling Bibles, and they were also taught to lie to customs about why they were going into the country, which is against the law.
Lie. Yeah, it's super.
Lie about why. Don't tell them you're going to proselytize, right? To tell them I'm going here for this or this or that. So They were taught as teenagers to lie to customs agents.
Well, and I think that when you look at the militarization, when you look at the political goals that we get more into in the third episode, when you look at the desire for political power, teaching kids to lie to custom agents and smuggle things into other countries takes on an even more sinister tone. Because nobody who wants power that badly is going to stop once they get it one place. Because otherwise, they'd all be very happy having power in these fucking churches, right?
Right.
No, but they're not. They don't want power in the church. They don't want power in their city council. They don't want power just as a congressman. They want to take over the fucking country. Well, what are they going to do when they have the country?
They're going to go elsewhere like they always do. So,
and they're training militaries. And they're
Yeah.
teaching kids to smuggle and lie to customs agents.
Yeah. So
I'm just saying.
Yeah, for sure. So before we get into episode 3, Ron Luce catches the attention of the Arlington Group, which I had never heard of, which is a James Dobson kind of thing. So Dobson gets like really dug in here again. This Arlington Group is designed to be secretive. It's designed so folks don't know what it is or what it does. Giving it the name the Arlington Group is a good job because it sounds benign. It sounds dumb.
Right.
Sounds like a
Heritage Foundation.
Sounds like a stupid book club. But
we have another right-wing celebrity.
Oh,
Charles Colson.
Yeah. So he's the leader of that
administration, who became a born-again Christian while he was serving time for his role in the Nixon administration.
Yeah. Funny how that happens.
Second lesson, right?
Funny how that happens when you're in jail.
It's so weird.
As someone
David Berkowitz became a born-again Christian in prison and even led a teen ministry online for real. I'm talking about Son of Sam, by the way.
Wow. Yeah. That I didn't know. That I knew he was a born-again. I didn't know he led a teen ministry.
I don't know if he still does, or this was true in the early 2000s. I don't know if it's still true. Maybe somebody got onto that and was like, we shouldn't let him do that.
I also would like to say, as someone who has spent a year in prison when I was younger and doing dumb shit, the easiest thing to do is to claim Christian reborn stuff in prison to help you with anything from getting a lighter sentence, getting out early, to getting better duties in the prison. Like it is considered a cheat code in jail to do that. That is an open secret thing that they say in there. I never did that because I thought that was super disingenuous. No honor amongst thieves in jail, I guess. But like, I was also a guy who had a really bad gambling problem, and that was why I went to prison. Rightfully so, by the way. I would like to make it very clear I deserved what I got. And it was probably the best thing that could have happened to me because it smartened me up, and I haven't gambled since, and that's been 33 years. But like, that's the thing. It's like, that was known in the prison system to be like, just say you're a Christian, go to all the Christian shit, go to church, you get your sign-offs, get people to vouch for you. They'll believe you because they want to.
Well, and because 70% of the country identifies as Christian. Who are they going to say? It's really, yeah. So I'm an ordained minister.
Me too.
Yeah. And one of the reasons why it kind of doesn't matter where you get ordained is because the First Amendment kind of is this loophole that's like, well, fucking prove that it's not a religion.
Yeah.
Prove that if I say that I'm Christian, that I'm not. Prove it.
Yeah. You can't.
You can't.
Yeah. So we have the Arlington Group. Dobson's now involved. They want to undo secularism all over. So they come up with and keep in mind, this was in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. they come up with something called Rewired, where they release a 12 CD series. That shows you how old this is. Like, they released a CD series of 12 CDs, and people bought that shit and listened to the CDs.
A curriculum. 12 CD curriculum.
Yeah, and
that doesn't have the same ring to it.
Yeah. So, but basically, those CDs were designed to make kids think that that Christian kids, like, the world was against them. That was the whole focus of those CDs, was to just poison their brains to think that everybody is out to get them, to make them super paranoid, super afraid. Fear is the tool of the oppressor. So, yeah, we got this. Ray Boltz says that he's gay. We got that. Finally comes out.
Yeah, and you know what I will say for this? I like that we find, like, the family has their happy ending. Like,
The
he
Boltz
seems to
family
have good terms with his ex-wife. The kids are all good with it. Like, it seems like they were just like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that it took them however long it took them to get to okay, because that's, like, you know, I'm sure it was painful in the beginning, but I like their happy ending. I just want to make sure that we know that there was at least one.
Well, they did say, the kids did say that they supported him immediately. There was no.
I just mean for his ex-wife. Like, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, you can be the most open-hearted person in the world. When you find out that you're getting a divorce over something you have no control over, like, it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool that through whatever process that she went through or they went through together, that, like, it seems like they do things all together as a family. Like, that's fucking cool.
That is super cool, and good on them. And so, yeah, there's that. Of course, Ron Lutz meets with Phil Boltz and tells him that homosexuality is wrong. And Phil's like, get fucking bent, fuck you. Good on Phil, man. Phil and his sister are just like, they take this in a. Now, I'm granted, they probably took them a long time to get to this point, but they seem to take a lot of this like, well, that shit sucked, but here we are now, we're good to go. And just like,
yeah,
I'm guessing there's a lot of therapy involved there and everything like that. But honestly, their attitude through the documentary was, like, really commendable, because it could not have been easy, because they were indoctrinated hard.
Well, and they were in the public eye, and then I'm sure that when their dad came out, that was rough. I am sure that their peers were not kind.
I'm sure they were.
At the very least. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're in episode 3. Of course, there's a lot of shit going on.
I don't even know where to start.
There's the Arlington group decides to start fighting gay marriage to get more political. They want to get more openly into the political realm, even they've been kind of doing that behind the scenes. In the middle of that, Ron Lutz starts Battle Cry, where we get into the more militant part, where they're trying to make it like, we're really in a war, and they're really, really, really pushing that thing.
I want to make it clear, when we say, like, this is what is so weird about this. It has been militant from the beginning.
For sure. But it just got
more. It only escalates. So at the Honor Academy, they're running everywhere. They are training, like, combat training for real. They are doing, like, combat crawls. They're training in the mud. They're going, like, one of the things they're doing is, like, having to do math problems under high stress in the mud, which is, like, meant to, like, test your ability to reason in, like, the fog of war. And there is stuff like that in military training, although not a lot of it. My note there was, I'm pretty sure God didn't put me on this planet to eat bugs and do 8th grade math problems while covered in mud. There's something about, like, we're doing, you know, you're doing what God meant for you to do. But, like, literally, they were being mentally and physically tortured in the name of training for this. And then Battle Cry comes along, and it's like, now we're even more militant. And it's like, where are you fucking going with this? what is the upper limit of how militaristic you can be? Because you're already being pretty fucking weird about it, by the way. Is anybody involved with this even seen a military? Like,
Dave Hodge is dressed like he's a fucking goddamn general.
oh
all
yeah,
the time.
he's like, and he clearly fucking loves every minute of it. He's the guy who thinks that being a drill instructor is all about being a dick, which of course it's not.
Yeah.
Like I say, you have to kind of care if the people get hurt. You have to care if they learn something from what they're doing. You have to care if the training is training them toward anything. Like, he didn't care about anything but screaming at teenagers, making them eat bugs.
Yeah, he gets off on that. I'm sorry.
No, I agree.
So we have the things where now Arlington groups / teen media, they're starting to get more political. They do rallies on government properties now, basically against LGBTQ rights. They do it in San Francisco, which they think, well, we're going to do it here because this is the hotbed of gay sin. And San Francisco's like, fuck off. Like, watch us be like, fuck you guys. Good on San Francisco on that. But I mean, that doesn't get covered a whole lot. It's just a little kind of blip. But now we get into things where they're talking about how, like they were talking about how the fundraising these people have to do to stay in the program. The program's super fucking expensive.
Yeah.
Like Corey Wright posted a thing where he made $8,000 and he had to give all of that to stay in the program. And he was talking about just like they gave us $5 a day to eat. That was their stipend a day.
Yeah. And then, like, I know, like, it's not now, but like even then, that was
pittance. You
what,
could
you
if you were really good, you could probably squeeze 2 meals out of $5. But I mean, really squeeze. It would be really difficult back then.
And again, with the level of physical activity that was being demanded of them, super, super dangerous.
Yeah. And one of the things that really just, they were talking about the fundraising tasks that they could have people do to try to give them money. Said, you can crack on an egg on my head for any donation amount. Somebody could give them $1 and they got to able to crack it. How fucking demoralizing and dumb is that? That is dumb.
To what end? Like, to what end? Like, it's one thing to be like, oh, we're doing a dunk tank and you can dunk the principal, ha ha ha, or whatever.
Yeah, but that's all everybody's in on that. Everybody's in on that joke. Everybody's in on that joke.
And there's like, the purpose of it is like, this is somebody who normally has power.
Yeah.
What power do these fucking kids have that they need to be humbled by a fucking egg on their head?
But that is a tenet of evangelical Christianity, is being humble.
Yeah.
And they will take any opportunity to humble you, whatever that means, in whatever way. So there's that. But one of the people we haven't talked a bit about is Danny. Danny is basically, she's a singer for the thing. Corey, to her and Corey are kind of the heads of the entertainment.
She's the one who, oh yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
So she gets expelled because she kissed a boy. They shun her and boot her out. And she said very clearly, I had no idea. I'm an adult and I don't know how to live in the world. I have no clue, because all I've lived is this for 4 fucking years or whatever it was.
But that's okay, Doug, because you can always work your way back in.
Yes, you can. And she does. But she has to atone by making a video where basically she is shamed for being a slut.
That video is so fucking weird. It doesn't look at all like she's a slut. It looks like she is being
used.
Yeah, it really looks like there's an implication that she's being abused by multiple men against her will.
Yeah, so there's that. She talks about she did it willingly because she wanted to get back, because she didn't know how to live outside of this
bubble. Yeah.
Bubble. So she does that. We get to Micah again. Now we're gonna get into Micah because Micah's a fucking badass, and I'm really fucking happy we get to talk about her. She mentioned that in documentary she got depressed and suicidal, and she started making videos about how she was that. And she goes to Dave Haas and says, "Hey, I'm depressed and suicidal. What do I do about that? How do I do that? How do I fix that?" And he just tells her, "You need to go to church more."
They're
And
already
she
going
just-
like 7 times a week, by the
and,
way.
yeah, and she was like, she just decides to leave because she doesn't think she'll live. She's like, if I stay here, I am fucked. Like she's like, I can't do it. I'm just a mess.
I mean,
Like this,
yeah.
the
I
idea
love
that she's leaving something, an environment where she was told if you leave, that is death. And she's like, if I
knew
stay
better.
here, I'm going to die.
She knew better. Yeah. And yeah.
Yeah. Great line from her too. Right after that, she says, "I never planned to be the demise of Team Mania." What a line!
It is good.
She starts a blog because she's just like, I don't know what else to do. She's like, I'm going to talk about my experience. And she does something called Recovering Alumni, which is basically the alumni of Honor Academy and Team Mania and all this stuff. It kind of blows up because all these people are like, yeah, me too. And just like, it's kind of like the Me Too movement, but for this. And for the Team Mania and all that stuff, Carrie Som reaches out and reaches out to Micah. She invites Liz and Phil to join the blog to kind of have these people who are big names in the group to kind of start doing that. Dave Haas goes on a recording, says some of their stories are true, some of them are bad, some of them are not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why like that was so weird to me because it's like why like if you're just say no if you're gonna lie.
They just say no.
Just why bother? Like
yeah. What's interesting, but out of this, there's a lot of good that comes because Team Mania suspends the ESOAL program. It's ESOAL. It's emotional stretching experience of a lifetime. It's basically a simulated SEAL hell week. You're outside for 90 hours straight. And I just put a line after that. Dave Haas is a piece of shit. And that was but basically that's good. It's like they suspend this program if there's some scrutiny. What's really interesting at the end here is we get introduced to Cindy Mallett, who is basically this comms director that Team Mania decides to bring in. And she just reminds me of these people like, I am in on this fucking Trump presidency. I am going to do all this stuff to spin it because it's all bullshit and I'm all bought in.
Right.
And then she realizes that she goes through all this shit. She's like, oh, are we the baddies? Yes, you're the baddies. You are the baddies.
She sees the exorcism and she's
God.
well, surely this one's bullshit.
And then they're like,
it's
no.
Bullshit, right? This one, right? And they're like, So she's like, okay, well, if that one's real, then like, what the fuck? And then she finds out that Ron Luce is keeping money paid for canceled events and there's a fucking foreclosure going on and like these kids are not getting their fucking money back. These kids who were humiliated in fundraising and everything else. He's literally stealing money from them.
And Cindy begged him to tell the truth, and he refused.
Boo-hoo. So, Convention of the States.
What's that?
Convention of the States is our last topic. We've got 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Surely enough time to talk about the overthrow of the U.S. government.
So for those of you that know, Convention of States is basically a thing where enough states decide that I think it's 34 states have to agree that we need to have a convention to rewrite the Constitution. And that is part of the stated goal of this whole thing, is to make it so that basically they could rewrite the Constitution to make it a super Christian Constitution and make the country super Christian. So why don't you take a little bit more time about explaining like what they did for this? Because I didn't have anything in my notes and I watched it a week ago and my brain switched cheese and I forget. So
well, I didn't take super detailed notes on this either, but let's hit the high points here. The stated goal that they're putting lots of money, lots of time, lots of people at, including the recently deceased and beloved by the right, Charlie Kirk, is to take enough power to enact a convention of the states to rewrite the U.S. Constitution and make it a Christo-fascist state. They want, again, at the start of this documentary, Charlie Kirk said it, welcome to the end of democracy. And at the end of this, Jeff, oh, fuck, I forgot how to say his name. It's like proboscis, but it's not proboscis.
Probiasek or Probiasek or something like that.
Welcome to the end of democracy. They do not want us in a democracy. They do not want you or me or anybody else to get to decide what happens in this country. They want to decide, and they want to be the only ones who decide forever. When they rewrite the Constitution, they don't want it to give them more power. They want it to give them all of the power. They want an end to democracy. And I think what people do not understand, and this blows my fucking mind because none of these people have been quiet about it. What is happening right now in our country, no one is being quiet about it. No one on the right now wants anyone, not even their voters, to have a say. They want all the power for themselves. And this shit is a cover because the guys at the top of this shit are just rich fucking assholes like every other rich asshole. They're not going to fucking take over the country and make everybody live like Jesus. They're going to take over the country and be nice to fucking sex workers and give money to the fucking poor. They're going to wash your fucking feet. That's not the Christian country that they fucking want. Better welfare programs for the fucking poor. That ain't it. This is insanity to me. And what we're seeing is, like I said, they're literally building armies with their children on purpose. They want a civil war.
Yeah. What's interesting is I saw a few videos on the old TikTok machine about like these folks being like, how dare you root for the death, be okay with the death of this guy? He was a father. I'm like, yeah, I can be sad for, as we mentioned earlier, I can be sad for the kids. I'm not sad for that dude. That dude was a bad person.
People think that if you see someone on TV, that's what they do, right? That's not what he did. That's what any of these fucking people did. They meet together. They fucking write documents like the fucking Heritage Foundation Project 2025. They train kids up to be militarized, ready to fucking die for this shit. They cover for each other when they commit sexual abuse on children.
Mm-hmm. We're seeing that actively right now.
It is insane to me. It is wild. None of them are being quiet about what they want. None of them are being quiet. Like, there's none of this shit where, you know, like for years and years and years, the Republican Party would be like, we want to overturn Roe v. Wade. And then everybody would be like, they're never going to overturn Roe v. Wade. It's like, but they're saying that that's what they want to do. Like, yeah, they're never going to do it. And then they did it. And everyone's like, I can't believe they did it. It's like, well, they said they were going to fucking do it.
Yeah, and they have lots of money and resources to fucking push that.
This is what they're saying they want to do now, and they are very, very, very far into their fucking game plan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a conspiracy theory. They're doing it out in the open. They're very clear. Their supporters know that that's what's happening and are in favor of it because they do not fucking care what happens to them as long as what happens to you is what they want to happen to you. That's the thing, because it's all us versus them. It is all
it's
about
sports.
Yes, it is
sports.
about.
They don't see it as a human element at all.
I am persecuted. So I'm fighting for my freedom when I oppress you. This is what their followers believe. I don't think it's what they believe. I don't even know that the vast majority of these guys give a shit about Christianity. I think it's convenient. It's a good way to grab and maintain power. But their followers believe it, and that is all that matters. And they're already ready for violence. Mm-hmm. You know, this shit because it was Charlie Kirk today, you see everybody like, oh, the left is so violent. We have no idea who did this, first of all. Okay, no idea. Probably somebody who has very conflicted and incongruous political beliefs, because that tends to be who does these kind of things, first of all. But people have threatened me physically for wearing a mask at fucking Home Depot during COVID. Okay, this is not. These people want a fight. They're looking for one. They're looking for any excuse. I have seen it happen. I've had it happen to people I know very recently over really weird shit. They're out in the open. They don't give a fuck about you. They want this. They are not thinking about what happens once they get it.
No, but they don't realize is once they figure out how to oppress all these other people and make them ineffectual, they're not going to give you a piece of the pie.
No.
They're not going to give two fucks about you. You are a means to an end to give them what they want. So yeah, that's what these folks from Team Mania and all that were all about. They were very much about, hey, we want to own everything and we want to be in power. Nobody else should have power because we are righteous. We are we are the Lord's chosen. And anything where you are doing, I am the chosen ones of a deity, bad things.
Here's the thing. You send your kid fucking anywhere, you sit down when they come home and you ask them what the fuck they did there.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's I just it blows my mind, because I do think there's a very, very high chance that the majority of these kids' parents had no idea that it was like this. Because why would you think that? Why would you think that? I don't want my kid going to shit hosted by churches like this because of the hatred and the ideals. Not because I think that they're going to try and fucking get my kid to go to a fake boot camp to fight against non-Christians. So why would somebody who does trust the church, why would they think that that's what's going to happen?
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of things to consider. Really well done 3 episodes, I will say. I think so.
Yeah.
So we have a kind of a special thing going on next month, and I am super excited, and I think you're super excited for it too. We are going to do this crossover, X-Files Cult Bar crossover, where we are going to explore X-Files episodes with cult stuff involved. So Renee, you picked this first one.
It's one of my favorite X-Files episodes because it is both a cult episode and a sad boy Mulder episode, which are my favorites.
Do you like the sad boy Mulder?
I love sad boy Mulder.
I love the assertive Scully.
That's a given. That's a given.
Yeah. Well, it's Gillian Anderson, and I think I would pay for her to insult me. I think I might.
You are not alone.
Yeah, she's great, and she's great all the time. Like she's now great, like just the way she is. I don't know if you ever saw the show Sex Education that she's in. She's fucking fantastic. That show is fucking great. She's just a great actress. And
Let me tell you what I love about Gillian Anderson in the X-Files. Everything, all of it.
That's a big thing.
Yeah. I'm a little pickier about Mulder. That's all.
I think that's okay. So anyway, folks, you see season 4, episode 5, The Field Where I Died. I watched the X-Files, and I famously am bad about rewatching stuff. I'm really bad. I started rewatching the X-Files. I watched 3 episodes and got distracted because there's 8,000 things to watch now. So like I get shiny new thing and I just forget. And so I'm really intrigued to revisit this episode.
I'm always in the middle of rewatching the X-Files. But I accidentally renewed the wrong Hulu account. And so I lost where I was, and it's somewhere like in season 7 or whatever. So I have to go back anyway. So.
So you're just starting from the beginning. Okay.
Oh, no. I'll figure out where I left off, but I'm going to go back for this specific episode.
Okay. I will say Friday, Greg and I are going to be on Speakeasy Conversations. I'm going to speak about something I recently started rewatching, which is, like I said, very unusual for me. The only things I usually rewatch are John Wick movies and the Jason Bourne movies because they're fucking like crack. I don't know what those
movies usually.
Rarely, although I will say I've seen Sinners 3 times.
Well,
Sinners is that's a superb movie. I got to watch that with my son. He had never seen it when it was up a couple weekends ago, and he was just like, that I think might be the best movie I've ever watched. And I'm like, it's fucking excellent.
When I was a kid, God, this is about to be like the oldest I've ever felt. When I was a kid, we would go to the video store.
The video store. All right.
And rent a tape. And later a DVD, but whatever. We would rent it, and I would rent it and I would watch it. And if I liked it, I would watch it again the next day before I returned it.
Yeah, but that you were on a timetable then. That's different. That's
every time. If I liked it, I immediately watched it again the next day before I returned it. Every time. 100% of the time.
I would do that then. Like the thing is, the problem is now there's a gazillion things I can watch.
Okay, I get that.
And I am a person that has decision paralysis when it's why I don't play open world video games. There's too many fucking ways to go. Just give me a cattle chute. Let me run through that fucking thing.
See, me rewatching things is how I deal with decision paralysis because if I don't know what I want to watch, then I watch the X-Files. Or if I don't know what movie I want to watch, then it's probably From Dusk Till Dawn or, whatever. Like,
yeah,
it's not always those two, in that vein.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things, and this is just a backtrack to the episode I did with Mortal Content, like I had debated putting in my debate between the aria for the movie Philadelphia and the opera song in The Shawshank Redemption, where Andy Dufresne is in the office and he just jacks it and he locks the office so everybody can hear it. And that was such a great moment because he knew he was going to get thrown in the fucking hole. He knew that he was going to get thrown there for a long time. And then he comes out and he has a beard and they're like, well, why'd you do it? And he goes, well, they can't take that. It was in my brain the whole time. Okay. They can't take that from me.
Yeah.
And like, it's just something where you just like, fuck, that just like really sticks with you. Like there's certain, like I've seen The Shawshank Redemption probably fucking 40 times. I love that movie. It's a great movie, but I couldn't tell you the last time I watched it because as I get older, I get away from rewatching stuff. Whereas usually it's when you're older, you start, I'm going to zero in on the shit I like. And I'm like, I want to try all the weird shit.
I get that though, because I have my close to my heart rewatch them all the time movies I now watch once a year or sometimes it becomes once every 2 years, because if I miss when like that slot of when I usually watch it, I don't slot it in later. So like I
Sure.
watch The Exorcist every year around Halloween, but I didn't get around to it last year because I don't want to like strip it of all of its shine. I don't want to start like I can ignore it now because I've seen it a million times. I want to keep enjoying it.
Yeah, I have a friend who September 1st starts spooky season for him, and he watches a Halloween movie every night all the way through Halloween.
September 1st starts spooky season for me. However, it's been 10 days and I still have not put out all of the stuff that I got, and it's waiting. It's in like a bag, and I haven't actually put it out in the living room. It's just in a bag. It's waiting.
Maybe there's a story to be written about the longing for decorations for Halloween to be put out early.
It's hard when it's like it's
100 degrees.
Yeah, it's the monsoon season came late, so it's been humid longer than usual, and it's just like into summer blues are really killing me this year.
All right, so let me ask you, what is the humidity there?
Today it's beautiful, so I don't know, but like when we have monsoon season, it's like actively raining and thunderstorms, but it's like 90 degrees outside.
Okay, but what's the humidity level?
Well, I don't know what it is right now. It's nice. There's no.
No. I'm just saying when monsoon season is it typically in like because it's raining? I'm assuming it's in.
Well, that's 100% humidity. Yeah, it's
okay.
Raining.
because you were in New York City when I was like, it's fucking humid as fuck, and I'm like, you were here.
It's like that. It is like that in monsoon season, but we don't like. I wouldn't be walking around. But I was walking around in New York City then because, like, what else am I going to fucking do? Like, get a cab at Times Square? No. That's not going to do anything for anybody except for drain my bank account. But, like, yeah, no, but see, also, I'm very lucky. I have an air conditioner and an evaporative cooler.
Oh, well, then you're lucky.
But air conditioner very expensive. So we try really hard not to use it. And we made it through monsoon season without turning it on. Wow. It wasn't easy. It was really hard. So,
yeah, my problem is if I'm sweaty and I'm trying to sleep, I sleep for absolute shit. So same. That's not great for me. So, like, I will say the past couple of weeks we've had really cool weather for late August, early September, like very unusually cool. Usually late August, early September is the hottest time for us. And so like we had our air conditioner on for a little bit the other day, but that's because it was super bright and sunny and our bedroom is like on the top of our house under an eave and the insulation up there sucks. So like our bedroom was like super warm. So I was using it to mitigate the heat.
Don't open all summer.
Yeah,
so they're east facing, so it just stays closed all summer long.
Yeah, so we just basically used it for like 3 or 4 hours, and once it was dark enough, we just turned it off and opened the window, and that was fine. So, but that 2 months we had, which was the time when you were in New York City, that was the hottest summer. Like it was fucking 90-95% humidity for like 2 fucking months. And the worst part was it was that high in that humidity, it almost never rained.
Yeah, it didn't break.
Like you might have a couple of drizzle for 15 minutes and then it would just be right back to being super muggy and fucking hot. And you're like,
when me and the teenager got into New York City, we landed, got in the cab, and it was like hours, literally just like 2 or 3 hours after the subways had flooded.
Oh, Jesus.
So yeah, like, which actually was insane because like all the streets were clear. Everybody was like getting the fuck out of here when we were going in. But yeah, so like it was extra humid because it was all evaporating off the like the hot pavement and stuff too. It's
yeah.
Enjoy
that. So, anyway, October 8th, 9 p.m. Please join us for the X-Files Cult Bar crossover where we do season 4, episode 5, The Field Where I Died. Bring in Mulder.
Mulder, the disco alien, a better seat. His little like like high chair toddler seat is not working. So that's why he's like bent over looking kind of drunk.
Yeah, maybe he is drunk. We don't know. So,
Maybe. I did leave the whiskey in here.
that's true. That's true.
I know what he gets up to.
All right, folks. So thanks again for watching. We really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us for season 2 of Shiny Happy People, a teenage holy war. What a fucking 3-episode arc that was. And really looking forward to doing this X-Files crossover because you and I are both huge fans of that show. So looking forward to it. So thanks, everybody. All right. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.